So who's that person that you know that keeps landing incredible opportunities, always in the right place at the right time, like they've got a lucky horseshoe stuck up their ass? Meanwhile, you're grinding just as hard and have absolutely all to show for it. Well, when that happens, you've probably asked yourself, why am I never that lucky? Wrong question. A better one to ask is, how do I make myself luckier? I'm Steve, and I worked as a disaster relief specialist helping people rebuild their lives while depression was slowly tearing mine apart. So I had to spend the better part of 2 decades figuring out how to rewire my brain and put everything back together. Now I share everything that I learned so you don't have to struggle through it the way that I did. So let's jump right in. There's a part of your brain that's either working for you or completely against you. It's called the reticular activating system. And once you know how to use it, you'll start seeing opportunities everywhere that were sitting right in front of you the whole time. Already seen it in action. You know when you're somewhere loud, a party or whatever, and someone across the room says your name and you hear it instantly? Every other conversation disappears into the background noise, but your name cuts through it all. That's because your brain was scanning for it the entire time without you knowing. That same mechanism can be trained to find career opportunities, relationship opportunities, health opportunities, basically any resource that you need to build a better life. Every single second, your brain is getting hit with about 11 million bits of information. So everything you're seeing right now, my voice, the background music, ambient noise, maybe a conversation happening in the next room or outside, the temperature in the room, the clothes against your skin, and you can only consciously process about 40 bits per second. That's it, 40 out of 11 million. So your brain needs an assistant, something that decides what gets through and what gets tossed. That's your RAS. Think of it like your YouTube feed. It doesn't show you everything that's on the internet, it shows you stuff you've already told it that you care about. Your RAS is constantly filtering your reality, deciding what you notice and what gets deleted before it reaches you. You're not seeing the actual world, you're seeing a version of it based on your goals, your beliefs, and your habits. And it follows a set of rules. But the problem is that most people have no idea that they're the ones writing those rules. Here's where it gets interesting. Your brain doesn't care about truth, it cares about what you consistently tell it. Tell yourself, I never catch a break, and your RAS will show you every closed door, every rejection, every time someone else won while you felt left behind. Because it's building a case to prove you right. But tell it to look for opportunities, and suddenly you start noticing things that were there all along. You just weren't paying attention to them before. So here's the question I want you to sit with right now. What is your RAS currently programmed to find? Because it's always working, always filtering the world around you, and the filter is set to whatever it thinks matters to you. So the question is whether you're programming it or it's programming you. Okay, enough theory. I want to get practical now. Here's how you actually reprogram your RAS in 3 simple steps. They're not complicated, but you must be consistent with them because one thought won't rewire a brain just like one rep doesn't build a muscle. Step 1, get laser focused. Your RAS needs a clear target. Vague goals are useless here. When you say, I want a better job, better than what? What role? What industry? How much money do you want to make? What's the timeline? What's the actual outcome you're chasing? We're not here to make a wish and hope for the best. We're here for those results. So grab your phone or a piece of paper right now. Write down one specific goal that you want to hit in the next 3 to 6 months. Not I want a better job, something like I want to land a project manager role in healthcare, making $50 an hour by the end of the year. Make it specific enough that you'll know without question whether or not you hit the goal or not. Then read it every morning. Writing and reviewing your goal daily tells your RAS that this is a priority. This is what matters. Keep an eye out for anything that moves me closer to this. To amplify this, pair it with emotion. A lot of advice tells you to close your eyes and picture yourself achieving the goal.
Let things happen and be the ball. Danny.
But some people struggle with that because it feels staged, like you're just making stuff up. So try this instead. Imagine you're much older, looking back on this goal as something you already did. Feel how proud you are of yourself because it happened. It's already part of your story. Bedtime works perfectly for this. You're already in bed, you're winding down. Do it then when you're drifting off to sleep. If you do that for a couple weeks, watch what starts catching your attention. One thing before we move on, there is a difference between knowing what you want and obsessing over it. One works, the other one backfires. Here's why. Think of your RAS like a personal assistant whose job it is to go out and get things done for you. So you walk over, you grab them by the arm and you say, hey, can you go out and get me lunch? They've got the task, they're ready to go. You're still holding on to them. 15 minutes later, you're looking at them like, do you have my lunch? And they're like, I can't get your lunch. You're still holding on to me. Well, your RAS works the same way. Give it clear instructions, then let it go so it can go do its job. Review your goals in the morning and then set it down and go about your day. You probably experienced this before. You're mid-conversation trying to remember the name of that restaurant that you went to last summer. You rack your brain, you try to force out your answer, but nothing comes, so you move on. Then later, usually when you're lying in bed about to fall asleep, it just pops into your head out of nowhere. That's not a coincidence, that's your RAS working in the background the whole time. Give it the task, get out of the way, and stay alert. Because the answer will show up, it always does. You just never know exactly when. Step 2, act on what you notice. This is where everything you set up either pays off or falls flat. Your RAS doesn't work alone, it needs action. Think of it like a hunting dog, loyal, focused, and ready to work. It's excited to bring you exactly what you're looking for, but if you ignore what it drops at your feet, that's a problem. Let's say your goal is to save a specific amount of money for a down payment for a car, right? You wrote it, you made it specific, you reviewed it every morning, and then you went about your day. Then at some point you spot a nickel on the ground, but you decided to step over it. Not worth bending over for, right? Well, your RAS logged that decision and it filed away as, oh, okay, I guess finding more money isn't as important as I thought it was. When you act on the opportunities that your RAS brings to you, you create a feedback loop. Action tells it, yes, more of this. Inaction tells it that this goal doesn't actually matter. So when your RAS shows you something that connects to your goal, take action on it within 24 hours. Sign up for the course, send the email, buy the book, make the call, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be something. Because every time you act, you're training the dog and telling it, good job, now go find more. Just use some discernment before you leap. If an opportunity seems too good to be true, take a minute to figure out why before you commit. The water might look inviting, but there could be some sharks underneath the surface. Step 3, stop programming failure. Because acting on opportunity only works if your brain isn't already filtering them out. You know when you were a kid and you're sitting at the dinner table and your mom says, hey, can you go to the cupboard and grab me some salt? And you tell her, I don't know where it is. She makes you get up anyways. So you're up, you open the cupboard door and you're already annoyed and you're thinking to yourself, I don't know where the salt is. It's on the middle shelf. And you're like, it's not here. She walks over and reaches right past your face and grabs and goes, then what's this? Did it magically appear when she walked in? No, it was right in front of you the whole time. But because you were so locked into I don't know where it is, your brain completely filtered it out. And that's exactly how most people move through life, so focused on the obstacles in front of them that their brain keeps finding more obstacles. Shift your focus towards solutions and your brain starts finding opportunities instead. If you're telling yourself, I'm not good enough, this never works for me, I always fail at this stuff, your RAS will find evidence to back that up. It has to, that's part of its job, just like the salt. You went to get it, but because you were already telling yourself you didn't know where it was, your brain filtered it out completely. Your RAS heard the instruction, not the intention. That's exactly what negative self-talk, pessimism, and only focusing on problems does to you. It turns your brain into a problem-finding machine instead of a problem-solving one. A surefire way to sabotage this whole process is to write down what you want and then immediately question it, wondering how could it ever happen? Because every time you get lost in the how, you get stuck. Nail down the what and the why first. The how has a funny way of taking care of itself. Every big thing that I've ever attempted, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I was completely out of my element.
Corbin, I got a headache, Corbin, beside me.
So I focused on two things, what I wanted and why I wanted it. The how I handed off to my RAS. I told it what mattered and why it mattered. Then it went out and found me the resources and people needed to make it happen. Because if I'd been focusing on all the obstacles instead, my brain would have just kept finding more obstacles. Let me give another example. How many of you tell yourself that you're terrible at remembering names? Because I did. I'd said it to myself constantly for years. When I forgot somebody's name, I would try to save face and just say that, oh, I was just terrible at remembering names, sorry. Then I'd meet somebody new, try my hardest to remember their name, and my brain would go, hold on, we're somebody who doesn't remember names. You tell me this all the time. And it would just disregard it. Same as the salt. So I had to change the story. Instead of I'm terrible at remembering names, I started telling myself the opposite. Then slowly the names started sticking more in my memory, along with other new information about those people too. Same brain, same RAS, different instructions. So if this sounds familiar, here's your homework. Write down one negative thought you keep having about yourself or your goal and then flip it. I don't have time becomes I'm finding ways to make time for what matters. I'm not experienced enough becomes I'm learning what I need to know. I always mess this up becomes I'm getting better every time I try. Every morning this week, say your reframed thought out loud. It'll probably sound weird at first, but do it anyways. Then stay alert for the opportunities that back it up. If you want to join a group of guys that will help keep you on track while you do this, you can always join our free community on Skool. Link is in the description if you want to check that out. Because your RAS is working right now, whether you guide it or not. It's filtering your reality and deciding what you see and what you miss. Left on autopilot, it'll scan for problems, threats, and reasons to be afraid. That's the default programming most of us pick up without realizing it. You might have a million reasons why you think your life is set in stone, but think about Matt Damon in the movie The Martian, stranded on Mars with a million ways to die. But instead of focusing on all of that, he programmed his brain to solve one problem at a time. That's what you're doing with your RAS, teaching it to scan for solutions instead of obstacles. So let's quickly recap. Step 1, write down one specific goal and read it every morning. For an extra boost, visualize it for a few minutes every night using the future memory technique right before you fall asleep. Step 2, when your RAS shows you an opportunity, act on it within 24 hours. Just remember to use some discernment before you leap. Don't be a pessimist, but if it seems too good to be true, take a minute to figure out why. Step 3, reframe one negative thought and say it out loud every morning alongside your goal. I'm not promising you'll hit your goal in a week, but I am promising you'll start noticing things that you've been walking past your entire life. And if you think you're too lazy to even go after what you actually want in life, well, check out this video that's about to pop up on the right. It'll help out with that. Until next time, keep moving forward.